Welcome friends. I welcome you on this 23rd day of our 31 days GST refresher course. Today we are going to refer chapter number 20 and we are also going to start chapter 21, which is the last chapter of CGST Act. So we are on the verge of completion of our CGST Act, and by tomorrow I expect that we'll be able to complete the CGST Act. And there is a small announcement to make that since the transition has already been done, it's already 33 months which have lapsed uh, post implementation of GST. So what I have planned is we are not going to do the section by section analysis of the transition provisions, that is chapter number 20, but there are some of the important issues and the case laws that I would like to touch upon, and then we'll move to chapter number 21. So we'll have a smaller session today. It is not going to be a very long session of 2 hours. It's maybe it will be completed by 7:30. Tomorrow we will be dealing with the provisions uh, from section 161. We'll try to complete section till section 160 today, or till section 155, and rest of the sections, that is around 20 sections, we will be completing and we'll be discussing tomorrow. I believe that we'll be having some time tomorrow, so for rest of the time we'll start the queries. So whatever queries, there are a lot of queries which have left, so we'll try to cover what as many number of queries as it is possible. So we'll start the query session tomorrow, and day after tomorrow I was originally having the I originally have the plan that we'll do the query session. So we'll decide that, and we'll announce tomorrow whether we are going to do the query session or we are going to start with the IGST Act. But IGST Act, uh, as per the plans, as per the original plans, needs to be completed in 4 sessions. We have selected, or we have kept 4 sessions for the completion of IGST. Let us see how that will be concluded. So to sum up, today we are going to deal with chapter number 20, which provides for the transitional provisions. Chapter number 21, section 143 to section 155, or maybe section 160. So probably we'll be dealing with section 143 to 155 today, and then section 166 to section 174 tomorrow, and we'll be completing the CGST Act. Each section that we have read with will be completing tomorrow, and then thereafter we'll decide whether day after tomorrow we are going to take the query session. If at all we are going to take query session, we'll be continue with that. Otherwise, on Sunday, as usual, we'll have our query session on a regular basis, and tomorrow and day after tomorrow we'll be starting with the IGST law. So this is what is the planning. And for tomorrow, because we'll be able, because the sections are very small sections, and those can be dealt with in 40-45 minutes, the 15 or 20 sections. So what we'll try to do is we'll complete this. Maybe it will take 1 hour. So between 6 to 7 it will be completed, then 7 to 8 we'll have the question answer sessions, so that we can also deal with the questions, and we can complete as much as, or as many questions as possible. So this is what I was intending to inform all of you, and uh, I'll be requesting the team to please allow me to share my screen so that we can start the today's discussion. And before we
Just a
share the
minute,
screen,
just a minute, sir. एक minute.
no worries, no
I
worries.
think there is some
Before
issue.
we
Just a minute.
Okay, so before we start that, let me tell one thing. Like, I'll be requesting whatever queries you have. Still, you might be having a lot of queries, so you can post those queries, and we will be taking up those queries in the query sessions. So, friends, we'll be starting with chapter 20 now. Chapter 20 deals with the transition provisions. Section 139 speaks about the migration of existing taxpayers. I'm skipping this section because this section has already been dealt with, and we all have passed through this section. सबने हमने compliance कर लिए हैं. जो ये उसके लिए sections था कि जो लोग already registered थे पुराने law में, चाहे वो VAT में थे या central excise या service tax में, वो लोग कैसे माइग्रेट होंगे और माइग्रेट होने के बाद फाइनल रजिस्ट्रेशन वो लोग कैसे लेंगे. द एंटायर प्रोसेस वाज गिवन, the provision was given in this section and the entire process was given in rule 24. So we have dealt with, and I think there is no further proceedings which are related to this migration, and therefore I'm skipping this. So section 139 I'll be skipping. There are few case laws also which I have incorporated. Actually this is the book, so book contains that. There are few cases wherein the challenges have been there. Like, let me share one case with you. The case was in relation to the transitional provisions, but बेसिकली इट वाज अ ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट केस. तो 140 जब हम लोग कवर करेंगे तो वहाँ पे हम लोग देखेंगे ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट्स में क्या क्या इश्यूज आए हैं. बट उस केस में क्या हुआ था, the person was migrated from the service tax regime to the GST regime, and after migration the provisional registration number was cancelled. And since the provisional number was cancelled, he has tried for quite a few times. He has contacted the departmental officers, but somehow he could not succeed in getting the registration, final registration, or the revocation of that cancellation of the provisional registration. And then there was a scheme. एक बीच में एक अगस्त में एक स्कीम आई थी जहाँ पे ऐसा बोला था कि ठीक है, अभी जिनका भी प्रोविजनल रजिस्ट्रेशन था और वो कैंसिल हो गया, वो उसको ही रिस्टोर करना चाहते हैं, देन दिस विल बी द प्रोसेस, टेक अ न्यू वन. उसके साथ उसको आप टाई अप करा लीजिए, एंड देन यू कैन गेट दी ओल्ड रजिस्ट्रेशन, और आपकी सारी प्रोसेस पुराने के जैसे हो जाएंगी. सो ही हैज एक्सेप्टेड दैट and he has gone for that option, exercise that option and get the registration. Even after getting that, now what has happened was कि 27 दिसंबर लास्ट डेट था ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट का. उसका ये अक्टूबर में या नवंबर में कैंसिल हो गया. उसके बाद उसने फॉलोअप्स किए डिपार्टमेंट से, लेकिन तब तक रीइंस्टेट नहीं हो पाया. और चूंकि वो रीइंस्टेट नहीं हो पाया, इसलिए ही हैज रिटन लॉट ऑफ लेटर्स, लॉट ऑफ मेल्स फॉर द ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट. इवन ही हैज फाइल्ड इट मैनुअली, ही हैज फाइल्ड इट इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली, कि जो भी ऑफिसर्स थे सबको मेल पे उसने ट्रांस वन बना के भेज दिया. बाद में ये प्रोसेस आया कि ठीक है, आप जिनका भी प्रोविजनल रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल हो गया, दे कैन गो फॉर, दे कैन ऑप्ट फॉर द न्यू रजिस्ट्रेशन एंड देन गेट इट टाइड अप, एंड देन द न्यू रजिस्ट्रेशन विल बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू द ओल्ड रजिस्ट्रेशन, या प्रोविजनल रजिस्ट्रेशन जो दोबारा कैंसिल हो गया वो अलाइव हो जाएगा. सो इज एक्सरसाइज दैट ऑप्शन, and after exercising he has contacted the department for allowing him to take the tran 1 credit, but somehow, as we all know, that the tran 1 was not allowed to him, and then we approached before the Honorable Gujarat High Court. The matter is still pending, but certainly the kind of judgments we have seen in the recent past so far as Tran 1 is concerned, we are very hopeful that this decision is going to be in favor of us. So ऐसा ही आप एक केस यहाँ पे भी देख रहे हैं, बालाजी कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ राजस्थान. आई विल नॉट डील इनटू दिस, बट एक आध केस जब ध्यान में आए तो आई जस्ट टच अपॉन. Again, in this the same issue was there, that there was the issue in some migration, and because of that the entire migration activity got closed, and he have to approach the honorable court, and the matter is still pending, no decision has been taken. So ऐसे काफी केसेस थे जहाँ पे इस तरीके का इश्यूज हुआ था. एक मैंने आपको जब when we were discussing the provisions of registration, at that time I have discussed one case of Patna High Court which I have dealt with, wherein what has happened कि हमने casual taxable person का registration लिया and the issues were faced, and because of that when I was logging into the system there was no tab of returns. So because of that I was not in a position. So technical glitches में initial stages में काफी जगह ऐसे issues आए हैं जहाँ पे उसका registration cancel हो गया, या provisional registration जो था that has been cancelled by the department officers. So because of that the issues have arose. So I'll not touch upon section 139 at all, because section 139 में बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ बचा नहीं है to discuss. Still I would say अगर किसी का कोई specific query हो 130 से related, then they can ask those queries and we'll be dealing with those queries, we'll be replying to those queries. Otherwise out of so many candidates, I feel hardly 1% or 2% होंगे जिनका ये अभी registration या ट्रांजिशनल रजिस्ट्रेशन या माइग्रेशन का इशू चल रहा होगा. और अगर चल रहा होगा तो 3 साल में 110% उसने कहीं ना कहीं वो किसी कोर्ट में होंगे, कहीं ना कहीं पिटीशन फाइल की होगी. सो दिस इज नॉट द राइट टाइम टू डिस्कस ऑल दोस प्रोविजंस व्हिच आर नाउ as per me are not that relevant. But section 140 section 140 is relevant to some extent. Why I'm saying to some extent, because recently one pronouncement have been there by Honorable Delhi High Court. Then prior to that, there were few judgments which were very important. So, and then over and above all this, there is an amendment to the law, which is a retrospective amendment. I'm repeating, there is an amendment to the law, which is retrospective amendment. But for understanding that amendment, first and foremost, it becomes my responsibility to share the background of it. हम ये लॉ तो पढ़ेंगे ही, बट मैंने पहले ही बोला कि मेरा जो फोकस है, my focus for the entire series was to read each section and to analyze that. That was the focus. But section 139, 140, 141 and 142, I will be seeking an excuse from all of you, because these are the transitional provisions, and after 33 months of GST, I don't think that the transitional provisions are that relevant for the mass. It may be relevant for 1% of the people. So for 1%, I'll not intend to go into detail and read section by section and take so much time. The provision is there in the law. You can go through that provision. If you have any confusion, then the query session is there. You can raise those queries. We'll be certainly replying to those queries, even if it is pertaining to the transitional provisions. But me, I am of a view that I should not delve into the provisions of the section one by one, because these sections are already, as per me, are already infructuous, because अब उनकी जरूरत नहीं है उन sections की, barring few people, barring few percentage. So 140 subsection 1 या 140 subsection 3 सबसे ज्यादा issues उसमें आए. केवल 140 सबसेक्शन 1 की हम बात करते हैं, देन विल मूव. एक रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव अमेंडमेंट आया कुछ सेक्शंस में, कुछ सब सेक्शंस में. देयर वर फ्यू रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव अमेंडमेंट्स. फ्रेंड्स, जस्ट अ मिनट. शरीन, आवाज आ रही है क्या? Anybody from team, if you can answer whether I am audible or not, because I think there is some problem.
Yes sir, audible.
Okay, fine.
बीच में 1 मिनट का थोड़ा डिस्टर्बेंस हुआ, बट बाकी ऑडियोबल, परफेक्ट.
Okay, so section 140 is basically a section wherein it is said कि whatever credit is there in the earlier regime. Now credit can be different kind of credits. One credit can be जो आपकी कैपिटल गुड्स की होगी, वो एक होगी जो इनपुट की होगी, एक इनपुट सर्विसेज की होगी. तो एनी काइंड ऑफ क्रेडिट इफ दैट इज लाइंग in your books in the earlier regime, and which is carried forward, or which can be carried, the better word would be which can be carried forward in the GST regime as a part of electronic credit ledger, section 140 deals with that. कि आपके पास पुराने में सेनवेट का 1 करोड़ रुपए का बैलेंस पड़ा था, तो वो 1 करोड़ के बैलेंस को क्या करेंगे जीएसटी के बाद, whether it is going to be useless or whether it is going to be used in GST. So they have provided for under section 140, wherein they have said that all those credits, I'm repeating, all those credits which are Senvet credit or VAT input credit can be carried forward. I'm repeating, can be carried forward to the GST, and it can be credited to the electronic credit ledger. बट इसका मैकेनिज्म क्या रहेगा? इसका मैकेनिज्म रहेगा, it should coincide with, it should tally with the credit which is carried forward in the last return which is being filed. That means 30th June 2017 का जो रिटर्न आप पुराने रिजीम में फाइल करोगे, उसके अंदर जितना क्रेडिट फॉर आपने कैरी फॉरवर्ड किया होगा, that credit you are eligible to avail in GST as a transitional credit, and it can be directly credited to the electronic credit ledger. Now there are few arguments wherein it is said कि क्या ये जो आप credit ले रहे हैं, transitional credit, whether it is an input tax credit, whether this credit can be evaluated and examined by the departmental officers, वो सारे litigations के question है. I will not be addressing those questions in this forum at least, because we are at the basic level. तो यहाँ से एकदम उस level पे हम नहीं जाएंगे. But let me tell you one thing कि ये section केवल यही provide करता है कि whatever is the last return filed under the previous regime, whatever credit has been carried forward in that return, that credit you can take in electronic credit ledger as a transitional credit under the GST regime. That is what is the provision is. Now, the provision says that it shall be in the manner as may be prescribed. So you can take the credit in the manner as may be prescribed, and we all are aware कि जब भी as may be prescribed लिखेगा, लगभग 150-200 जगह पे लिखा है लॉ में, जब भी as may be prescribed लिखा होगा तो we'll have to refer the delegated legislature और the subordinate legislature या rules. तो हम rules में जब जाते हैं तो एक रूल है, रूल नंबर 117. तो 117 आपका प्रोविजन देता है कि 90 डेज के अंदर आपको ये क्रेडिट ले लेनी है. यानी इसमें क्या करना है, एक आपको फॉर्म भरना है. मेरे पास 1 करोड़ का क्रेडिट था पिछले रिजीम में. In GST, to get this 1 crore rupees in your electronic credit ledger, you will have to fill up a form which is known as TRAN1 form. TRAN1 form. That was supposed to be uploaded, but the time limit was 90 days. टाइम लिमिट वाज 90 डेज. बट शुरू में जीएसटी लॉ में आप सबको पता ही है कि जीएसटी जब आया तो उसके बाद 3-4 महीने तक तो मालूम ही नहीं हो रहा था क्या हो रहा है. 2-3 महीने तक कोई फॉर्म ही नहीं खुला, कोई कंप्लायंसेस हुआ ही नहीं. तो ये जो इनका टाइम था, ओरिजिनल टाइम था 90 डेज का, उसमें वो नहीं हो पाया. देन द डेट वाज एक्सटेंडेड टू 27th ऑफ दिसंबर. दैट बिकेम द लास्ट डेट. उसके बाद गवर्नमेंट ने इस चीज पे बहुत ज्यादा एक्सटेंशन नहीं किया. देन फिर वो एक क्लॉज लेके आए, उसके बाद फिर एक्सटेंशन लेके आए बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रेशर एंड बिकॉज ऑफ द टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस. फिर उसमें भी वो रास्ते निकाल के लेके आए कि अगर टेक्निकल ग्लिच है, अगर आपने ट्राई किया था, आप लॉग फाइल दिखा सकते हो या कोई एविडेंस दिखा सकते हो दैट यू हैव ट्राइड टू योर बेस्ट पॉसिबल मैनर to the best of your abilities, but then also because of the glitches at the system level you are not able to file tran 1, then the credit will be given to you. That the government has decided. तो बहुत सारे लिटिगेशंस हुए, बहुत सारे मैटर्स डिफरेंट कोर्ट्स में, जुरिसडिक्शंस में गए जहां पे लोगों ने चैलेंज किया. तो उसमें सब बातों को छोड़ देते हैं, एक बात कॉमन निकल के आई ज्यादातर जजमेंट्स में, एंड वो कॉमन चीज ये थी कि स्टैट्यूट कहीं पे कोई टाइम लिमिट प्रिस्क्राइब नहीं करता. स्टैट्यूट तो ये बोलता है कि आपकी क्रेडिट, आई एम रिपीटिंग, आपकी क्रेडिट जो पुरानी थी, इसका मतलब पुरानी अक्रू हो गई थी, पुरानी क्रेडिट आपके अंदर वेस्ट हो गई थी. यू आर एलिजिबल फॉर ऑल दोज क्रेडिट्स इन द ओल्ड लॉ. if at all it was not a valid credit, let me assume, if at all it was not a valid credit कि आपको पुराने लॉ में भी वो क्रेडिट आपने जो लिया था वो गलत था, then the person who is investigating in the old laws, because the saving clause is already there, तो जो आदमी उसको वेरीफाई करेगा ना, let him check whether the credit was okay or not. But if I read this section, I will be reading it also, 140 subsection 1. if I read this section, ये तो मुझे ये बोलता है कि आपने जो पिछले रिटर्न में दिखाया था, जो कैरी फॉरवर्ड किया था, यू आर एलिजिबल फॉर दैट क्रेडिट इन दिस. वो क्रेडिट सही था गलत था उसकी बात ही नहीं करता. सो क्वाइट ऑब्वियस, मैंने जब रिटर्न भरा और उसके अंदर मैंने क्रेडिट ले लिया, तो इट इज बाय डिफॉल्ट, it can be presumed that this is an eligible credit, and this credit is now getting vested on at me, and therefore अगर वो क्रेडिट अक्रू हो गई है, मेरे लिए एलिजिबल हो गई है, तो वो क्रेडिट को मैं जीएसटी के अंदर ले सकता हूँ. बट द लॉ nowhere envisages or nowhere provides for the time limit. ये जो 90 days या 27 दिसंबर तक थे, तो then the various courts in various landmark judgments, including the landmark judgment which was day before yesterday pronounced by the Honorable Delhi High Court, have clearly said that this is a procedural thing. Rule 117, which specifies a time limit, is a procedural time limit. This is a procedural lapse, but the credit needs to be given to the taxpayer. It is his substantive right. And since it is a vested right or a substantive right, it cannot be taken away. I'm repeating, it cannot be taken away. See, I have very less time. This is not a class wherein I am supposed to discuss the case law or in detail and to explain the facts, but I'm trying to explain the crux and why it was decided. So they have clearly said कि बॉस, अगर आपके पास पुरानी लॉ से कोई क्रेडिट फ्लोट होके आ रही है, so you are eligible, and that is a credit which is being vested on you, and therefore you are eligible to claim that credit just mere because of a compliance problem or a procedural lapse. Your substantive right or your vested right cannot be taken away. So that was something which was said in various judgment, started with maybe I would say Siddharth Enterprises, then Siddhartha Enterprises. There are n number of judgments of Delhi High Court in the earlier in like before Siddhartha. Many judgments were there, but Siddhartha, as per me, Siddhartha Enterprises is one of the best judgments so far as the transitional credit under section 140 is concerned. So I will start with Siddhartha. Then after that, giving reference to Siddhartha Enterprise, there was another very good judgment by Atford by Honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court, and then the latest judgment of Reliance Electric. So those judgments are the landmark judgments, and all those judgments are saying the same thing कि टेक्निकल डिफिकल्टीज जो रिलायंस इलेक्ट्रिक है वो मैं बाद में 2 मिनट के बाद आपसे डिस्कस करता हूँ कि इसमें एग्जैक्टली क्या है, बट जो सिद्धार्था में था वो भी यही था कि एक बार आपका राइट वेस्ट हो गया, देन देयर आर अर्लियर रिजीम में वहाँ पे बहुत सारे जजमेंट्स हैं, डाई विंची का जजमेंट है, आइशर मोटर्स का जजमेंट है, जो बोलते हैं कि ये जो राइट है दिस बिकम्स योर प्रॉपर्टी, it becomes a fundament, it becomes a right under the constitution, article 300A, even if it is not a fundamental right, but this is a right to property, and since it is a right to property, nobody can take away that right from you once that right is vested on you. So therefore all the courts have upheld कि नहीं, आपको ट्रान 1 का क्रेडिट तो आपको मिलना ही चाहिए. So now there were 3 situations. Now friends, I already said that I am not going to read section by section in this particular chapter. So I am trying to sum up, trying to share whatever I can share in the best possible manner. So there are 3 situations. One is कि you have filed a tran 1 and you want to revise it, उसमें कुछ गलती छूट गई. दूसरी situation है you have tried to file it but it was not uploaded because of certain technical problems. Third, you have not at all tried. 3 सिचुएशन है. तो पहले काफी सारे जजमेंट्स ऐसे थे जहां पे आपने ट्राई किया लेकिन टेक्निकल ग्लिच थी, आप नोडल ऑफिसर के पास गए, कोर्ट ने बोला आप नोडल ऑफिसर के पास जाइए, उनको सेटिस्फाई करिए, दे विल गो टू द काउंसिल एंड देन द काउंसिल विल से यस, तब आपको क्रेडिट मिलेगा. दोज वर द n number of judgments were there which was in favor of the SSC. Then the second issue of the revision, so they have came out with a provision also, rule 120 clause capital A. I think that is a rule wherein they have said कि नहीं आप इसको रिवाइज भी कर सकते हो, जब तक ट्रान 1 का पीरियड रहेगा तब तक आप रिवाइज, तो 31 मार्च 2020 तक मेरे ख्याल से वो पीरियड था. So you can revise that also. That also was set by the department, by the government. So second situation was कि मेरा भर गया लेकिन कुछ क्रेडिट ऐसी थी जो मेरी लेने रह गई, उस सिचुएशन में क्या करेंगे? तो उस सिचुएशन में आप डिपार्टमेंट को कांटेक्ट करते हो, नोडल ऑफिसर को करते हो, तो कोई रिस्पांस नहीं मिलता. So what should be done? So they have approached the honorable courts and then the court have allowed. So these were the second kind of cases wherein the credit was allowed. And third was the case which is the most important case, that was adjudicated in Atford also, and that is adjudicated in the day before yesterday's decision also, कि कोई भी SSC हो उसने ट्राई किया या नहीं किया, forget about it. You cannot say that technical glitch is only restricted to that person who has tried it and who has taken a copy or the log file is created. Even if the log file is not created, since the entire system of GST, the GSTN per se as a whole is within the phase of trial, you cannot say that technical glitch is, the term technical glitch is only restrictive और उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन खाली उसी लेवल पे होगा कि जिसने ट्राई किया था और नहीं हो पाया वहीं पे टेक्निकल ग्लिच थी. देयर कैन बी एन नंबर ऑफ टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस as per that order of Reliance Electric, a wonderful order to read. स्पेसिफिकली बोल दिया है कि वो केवल टेक्निकल ग्लिच नहीं है, टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस और भी दूसरी तरीके की हो सकती हैं. ये पूरा नया लॉ था, लोगों को नहीं समझ में आता था, आपने पूरा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कर दिया, लोगों के पास सिस्टम्स नहीं है, आपके पास खुद के पास मैनेज करने के लिए सिस्टम्स नहीं थे, योर सिस्टम्स वर नॉट इन प्लेस. लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स हैव बीन क्लैरिफाइड एंड सेड इन दैट particular order. Please, I am requesting you, all of you, to read that order. So then what they have said कि नहीं, it is not technical glitch. Technical glitch is a very broad term and it can lead to any level. So therefore जो भी लोगों का क्रेडिट रह गया है वो सारा उनका लेजिबल क्रेडिट था, एलिजिबल क्रेडिट था, एंड वो क्रेडिट उनको मिलना चाहिए. But then the court have given a very wonderful observation which for the very first time, वो सिद्धार्था में भी नहीं है और एटफर्ट में भी नहीं है. Let me शेयर विद यू कि एटफोर्ड टेक्नोलॉजीज जो मैटर था पंजाब एंड हरियाणा हाईकोर्ट का, जिसमें 102 पिटिशंस को मर्ज करके एक ऑर्डर बनाया और सिमिलर ऑर्डर पास किया, उसमें भी तीनों चीजें अलाउ की थी। आपने फाइल किया, अपलोड नहीं हुआ, वो भी। आपने फाइल किया, फिर आप रिवाइज करना चाहते हैं, वो भी। और जहां पे फाइल नहीं किया, वो भी। तीनों, ऑल द थ्री थिंग्स वर upheld, were allowed by the honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court in Atford. I'm not denying that. And Atford was a matter which was also against which the SLP was also filed before the honorable Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court has denied, which the Supreme Court has not accepted, and they have said we are not going to interfere into this, and therefore हम ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते कि वो सेटल हो गया क्योंकि मेरिट्स पे नहीं सुना गया, बट ये बात पक्की है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसको नहीं एक्सेप्ट किया, एंड देयरफॉर वी कैन से दैट दैट बिकम ए सेटल्ड लॉ। एंड इन दिस केस Reliance Electric or brand equity, there were 4 petitioners who were clubbed into this, and Reliance Electric मेरे को इसलिए नाम याद है, let me share that because a very much senior and stalwart personality of the indirect taxes, जिसका बहुत ज्यादा हम रिगार्ड करते हैं, उनके सन हैं, उन्होंने वो मैटर आर्ग्यू किया, एंड ही इज आल्सो अ स्टैंडिंग काउंसिल टू द गवर्नमेंट फॉर a different subject, and he is also arguing the matters of GST. So Reliance Electric इसलिए मुझे बार बार याद है, but otherwise आप ऑर्डर देखेंगे तो उसमें brand equity is the first name which is given there, which was argued by Abhishek Rastogi, which again who again is a very good friend of mine. So in that case, the additional issue or additional, what I can say, observation which was given by the honorable court was कि चूंकि एक राइट है और सिविल राइट है, so there has to be some time limit, some restriction into it, and therefore they have said कि जो limitation act का section बोलता है 3 साल का time limit, that time limit is applicable to this right to be claimed, and therefore 3 साल आप मान के चलिए तो फर्स्ट जुलाई 2017 से 3 साल यानी 30 जून 2020। so the court have said कि जिसको भी क्रेडिट लेना है वो 30 जून 2020 से पहले वो ट्रान 1 की क्रेडिट ले ले। दे हैव डायरेक्टेड टू द डिपार्टमेंट दैट they should be allowed to take the credit either manually or you should open the tran 1। आप ट्रान 1 को खोल दीजिए पब्लिक के लिए या फिर उनको आप मैनुअली अलाउ करिए, एंड द फर्दर डायरेक्शन व्हिच हैज बीन गिवन, व्हिच इज अ वंडरफुल डायरेक्शन, वेयर इन दे हैव क्लियरली सेड कि आप इसको पब्लिश करिए, that this is the order of the honorable court, and आप इसको publish करिए so that everybody comes to know, and whosoever have failed to furnish this tran 1 for tran 1 can do that। so that is a wonderful order। कुछ orders मैंने और लिए हैं, so let us see the section first and then we'll discuss few cases, and then we'll move from section 140 and directly we'll start with section 143। now friends, another thing that I would like to share, because काफी queries आई है मेरे पास, and many persons have asked me that whether this order of Delhi High Court is also applicable to a person who is residing in Gujarat or to a person who is residing in Maharashtra। मेरा तो four corner, मेरे तो limitations Maharashtra और गुजरात है, so they have asked me कि whether it is applicable in Maharashtra। I immediately, like after the order was circulated and yesterday we did a program, I received few queries from Maharashtra friends of mine wherein they asked the same thing कि क्या ये इसको borrow कर सकते हैं। तो friends, let me share my view। कल भी मैंने अपने वीडियो में शेयर किया था उस समय, क्योंकि वो क्वेरी आ गई थी, और आज भी मैं वो शेयर करता हूँ फॉर दी कॉज दैट जो इतने सारे लोग जो इस सीरीज में, इस सेशन में अटेंड कर रहे हैं, सो दे शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ माय व्यू। आई एम नॉट अवेयर, क्योंकि मैं उतना सीनियर नहीं हूँ, तो आई एम नॉट अवेयर कि वेदर माय व्यू इज करेक्ट और नॉट, बट मेरी रीडिंग जो है, मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग जो है, बिकॉज रिट पिटीशन ऐसा है, जहां तक मैं समझता हूँ, writ petition I would equate this with advance ruling। although advance ruling में तो I personally say कि advance ruling is the worst thing that can happen to anyone। we should never go for advance ruling in GST, that is my belief। पहले बहुत गया हूँ मैं सर्विस टैक्स एक्साइज में, but in GST I will never prefer advance ruling। I will equate it with advance ruling for a limited purpose, and that limited purpose is that it is one to one। the writ petition, the writ orders is one to one। फ्रेंड्स प्लीज अप्रिशिएट, आज अगर मेरे पेट में दुखता है, मुझे हर्निया का पेन हो रहा है, सो आई विल हैव टू गो एंड गेट इट ऑपरेटेड। सो द मेडिसिन विच इज गिवन बाय द डॉक्टर or the prescriptions which he is writing for me, or the treatment that is being given to me, is only given to me, and writ petition or writ court is for the treatments. जहां आपका कोई cause of action होता है, wherein you find that this is something which is causing loss to you, causing hardship to you, or is being detrimental to you, in that case you approach the honorable writ court, and the writ court gives the remedy. और जो चार तरीके की writ होती है उसमें से कोई एक writ remedy आपको मिलती है. So as per me, writ is one to one. It may not be made applicable in other cases, but since it is a settled principle, it becomes a settled law. And at the same time, if the facts and circumstances of your case is similar to what is adjudicated in that particular writ, then you can certainly borrow that, and you can ask the officer that this has already been decided, and therefore you should rely on this, and allow me this benefit which is provided to the petitioner in this particular writ. Now adding to this further, friends, because this again is a very normal and common question which is being asked, ki whether a writ in favor by a court is applicable to the only jurisdiction of that court or the entire country. Again I am having a view, again I am saying, disclaimer मैं पहले दे देता हूँ कि I am not very sure whether my view is correct or not, but this is my view, and I always take the pride of saying one thing, कि I always frame a view. वो view सही है या गलत है, I will handle it, or I will see the repercussions of that, but I have a view that is which is very important. And at times I have seen that बहुत सारे professionals ऐसे हैं जिनका view ही नहीं होता, वो view नहीं ले पाते, किसी दूसरे के view से चलते हैं. That should not happen. So my view in this case is, when there is a, let's say, a direction, तो डायरेक्शन तो एक पर्सन के लिए होता है, फिर भी कोई भी दूसरे व्यक्ति के सामने सेम फैक्ट्स और सर्कमस्टांसेस, ही कैन मेक यूज ऑफ दैट डायरेक्शन फॉर हिज बेनिफिट आल्सो. If there is a law which is struck down, which is read down by the court of law, in that case it again has the precedence, it has the applicability across the country. So to sum up this, I would say, अगर एक petition फाइल हुआ और वो petition फेवर में आया, और उस कोर्ट के अलावा जहां पे भी वो उस तरीके के पिटिशंस गए वो सारे फेवर में आए, या कहीं पे भी पिटिशंस उस तरीके के नहीं गए, meaning thereby, if I have a favorable order and there is no contradictory or opposite order in by any of the other courts, then this order of mine will become the order which is applicable or which is to be used as a precedence across the country. लेकिन अगर कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी ऑर्डर है कहीं पे, लेट्स से दिल्ली का तो फेवरेबल आ गया और गुजरात का अगेंस्ट में है, देन इन दैट केस ऑब्वियसली तो गुजरात वाला तो मानेगा नहीं उसको, लेकिन दूसरी स्टेट वाले भी हो सकता है ना माने, क्योंकि वो बोलेंगे दिल्ली का अगर फेवर में है तो गुजरात का अगेंस्ट में भी, तो यू ब्रिंग आउट एन ऑर्डर ऑफ आवर jurisdictional high court. If they say that yes, Delhi was correct, then we'll go with Delhi. If they say that Gujarat was correct, then we'll go with Gujarat. So in short, अगर मैं conclude करूं तो the conclusion is, if you have a contradictory orders of various high courts, then certainly you cannot claim it outside the jurisdiction of that court. But if you do not have any contradictory order, then I am of a view that it can be borrowed, and the principle which is laid down by the honorable court can be borrowed across the country. So that was my belief. Now let me read section 140 subsection 1, and then we'll touch upon few of the cases. 140 subsection 3 में भी एक बहुत important case था, जब हम वहां जाते हैं तो we'll touch upon that. Transitional arrangements for input tax credit, a registered person other than a person opting to pay tax under section 10, so जो composition में उसको बाहर कर दिया, shall be entitled to take in his electronic credit ledger the amount of Senvet credit of eligible duties carried forward in the return. So he shall be entitled to take the credit of the Senvet credit of the Senvet which is carried forward in the return, and directly it can be taken in the electronic credit ledger, and those returns in which the credit is being carried forward relating to the period ending with the day immediately preceding the appointed day. So appointed day से immediately पहले वाला जो डेट, यानी 1 जुलाई से पहले 30 जून, तो 30 जून को जो उन्होंने पीरियड के लिए रिटर्न भरा, उस रिटर्न में जो कैरी फॉरवर्ड किया, वो रिटर्न के लिए he shall be entitled, so entitlement दे दिया, and once the entitlement is there, law ने बोल दिया कि you are entitled, and law does not, NV says कि नहीं you are entitled if you claim this within 30 days, तब तक वो restrictive नहीं होगा, and because of this only the courts have given the favorable orders. Now what is the amendment, वो हम लाइन पे जा रहे हैं. I will read in two ways, पहले जो पहले था और फिर जो अब है. So relating to the period ending with the day immediately preceding the appointed day furnished by him under the existing law. So excise में service tax में जो उसने furnish किया वो entitled to take in such manner as may be prescribed. This is the original way of reading it. In such manner as may be prescribed, which is read by the courts in case of Reliance Electric also, in case of Edford Technology also, and in case of Siddhartha Enterprise also, Bhargav Motors also, and so many other cases. There are more than 220 cases on this issue. So now let me read the amended position, because ये retrospectively amend हुआ है by way of by Finance Act 2020. So recently it has been introduced now with retrospective impact, and the amendment is furnished by him under the existing law within such time and in such manner as may be prescribed. So this becomes very important now, and this have to be read, and this needs to be adjudicated by the Honorable Supreme Court now, because these matters now, because the court have not taken cognizance of this amendment in all these judgments. The Honorable Court, High Court have not taken this. So the Council of the Revenue will certainly highlight this amendment before the Honorable Supreme Court, if at all they are going to challenge these orders of Reliance Electric and the brand equity. So अगर वो challenge करेंगे, then certainly there is an probability that they will highlight this amendment. Now the Honorable Supreme Court will have to check and see whether this retrospective amendment can be used as a tool wherein all those judgments of the Honorable High Courts can be overruled, it can be set aside. I have my own doubts. बाकी तो कुछ भी हो सकता है. बाकी मुझे I have my own doubts. Let me share very frankly. मैं इसीलिए थोड़ा सा I have a bad name that he speaks very fluently and very frankly whatever he wants to speak. So मेरा ऐसा मानना है, भले now the Honorable Supreme Court will have to let down. अभी तो मैटर्स गए नहीं है वहाँ पे, बट मुझे लगता है जाएगा, नहीं जाए तो बहुत अच्छा है ट्रेड के लिए. लेकिन अगर ये ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जाता है तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जो रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव अमेंडमेंट है ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट कंसीडर जरूर करेगी, दैट दिस रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव अमेंडमेंट कैन नॉट बी फ्रॉम द रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव डेट मेड इफेक्टिव. इट इज इफेक्टिव फ्रॉम रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव डेट, बट आज ये अमेंडमेंट होने के बाद अगर मैं फाइलिंग्स कर रहा हूँ ट्रान 1 की, देन दोस क्रेडिट शुड बी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड. बट इफ आई हैव ऑलरेडी फाइल्ड इट, if I have already went before the honorable courts and the court have have given a decision, I think कि वो वहाँ पे ये issues नहीं आने चाहिए. But let us see, let us hope for the best. So this is an amendment which they have done within such time. So now, because पहले क्या होता था, कोर्ट ये बोलता था कि this is a directory, because this again has been said in Reliance Electric, the word used is directory. Rule 117 is a directory provision, it is not a mandatory provision. That is what is the pronouncement or the observation of the honorable court, wherein they have said that this law, this rule 117, which specifies the time limit of 90 days or till 27 December, is not at all a mandatory provision, it is a directory provision. Direction आपको दे रहे हैं साहब, आपको एक recommendation दे रहे हैं, recommendation मानो या नहीं मानो. So that is what they are saying. But section 140 is a mandatory provision, and the right which is floating from that section cannot be taken away, because that becomes a substantive and a vested right. Please plus 300A यानी right to property का भी reference उस order में दिया है. Anyways, next, provided that the registered person shall not be allowed to take credit in the following circumstances, namely: 1, where the said amount of credit is not admissible as input tax credit under this act, where it is not admissible at all in the current law, where he has not furnished all the returns required under the existing law for the period of 6 months immediately preceding the appointed date, then also it will be denied. And last, where the said amount of credit relates to goods manufactured and cleared under such exemption notifications as are notified by the government. So again, in these three circumstances, the credit will not be allowed, it will be restricted, even if it is floating from the last return which is getting filed in the earlier regime's return, and the credit as on 30th June 2017. सेक्शन 140 सबसेक्शन 2, अब ये थोड़ा सा फास्ट चल के 143 करेंगे एंड देन विल मूव अहेड. A registered person and other than a person opting to pay tax under section 10 shall be entitled to take in his electronic credit ledger credit of unavailed Sunwed credit in respect of capital goods. If you will agree and if you can remember, सर्विस टैक्स और एक्साइज के रिजीम में जो कैपिटल गुड्स की क्रेडिट होती थी वो 2 इंस्टॉलमेंट में मिलती थी. जिस साल में वो ले रहा हूं उस साल 50% और नेक्स्ट ईयर 50%. सो दैट वाज द कंडीशन. सो अनअवेल्ड सनवेड क्रेडिट के लिए ये सेक्शन है. Not carried forward in the return because I was never showing that capital 50% of the capital which is capital credit which is still to be taken in my return. So not carried forward in a return furnished under the existing law by him for the period ending with the day immediately preceding the appointed day within such time. Now again the term has been, the words are inserted retrospectively in this section also, in such manner as may be prescribed, provided that the registered person shall not be allowed to take credit unless the said credit was admissible as Sunwed credit under the existing law and is also admissible as the input tax credit under this act. अगर वो इस एक्ट में नहीं मिलेगा तो पुराने एक्ट में मिलता था, तो भी आप नहीं ले पाओगे. दोनों केसेस में मिलना चाहिए, यानी पुराने लॉ में भी एडमिसिबल था और इस लॉ में भी एडमिसिबल है. ऐसा किस केस में हो सकता है? तो मुझे एकदम अभी क्लिक हुआ सेक्शन 17(5) में जो प्लांट एंड मशीनरी का डेफिनेशन है उसमें दे आर सेइंग दैट जो ये जो पाइपलाइंस आप डालते हो उसकी फैक्ट्री के बाहर, वो आपके अलाउड नहीं रहेंगे. सो if at all, this is just a hypothetical example, if that was allowed in the case of prior regime and it is not allowed in the GST regime specifically by 17(5), then in that case you are not eligible to claim those credits. Explanation is given, ये मैंने पिक्टोरियल में भी दिखा हुआ है, but verbatim wise it is for the purpose of this subsection. The expression unavailed Sunwed credit means the amount that remains after subtracting the amount of Sunwed credit already availed in respect of capital goods by the taxable person under the existing law from the aggregate amount of Sunwed credit to which the said person was entitled in respect of the said goods under the existing law. So उसमें से आप माइनस कर दीजिए जो पुराने में था और जो बैलेंस बचेगा that is the unavailed Sunwed credit. Now this is again a very important section to be discussed and deliberated, but I'll not deliberate to a large extent, but इसमें एक issue है, केवल वही highlight करते हैं. See, this was a credit wherein it was a situation I was not registered in the earlier law. I was not required to be registered in the earlier law, but in GST I am getting registered. So whatever credits are pertaining to the stock of goods which is held in stock at the time of when I am transiting to the GST, I should get credit of that. That is the simple provision. तो इन्होंने यहाँ पे दो बाइफर्केशन कर दिए. एक ये बोला कि आपके पास इनवॉइस है और दूसरा बोला कि इनवॉइस नहीं है. जहां पे आपके पास इनवॉइस है, जहां पे आपके पास इनवॉइस है वहां पे ऐसा बोल दिया कि आपको 12 महीने तक के ही मिलेंगे. 12 महीने तक का इनवॉइस रहेगा आपके पास. उसके पहले का अगर स्टॉक, लेट से मेरे पास कोई स्टॉक पड़ा है 2 साल पुराना, तो उसकी क्रेडिट आपको नहीं मिलेगी. लेकिन अगर मेरे पास कोई स्टॉक पड़ा है 1 साल पुराना, 12 महीने तक का इनवॉइस का रेट रहेगा तो मुझे मिलेगी. प्रोवाइजो बनाया, प्रोवाइजो में ऐसा लिख दिया कि जिस केस में इनवॉइस नहीं है उस केस में आपका स्टॉक अगर 10 साल पुराना भी होगा, ऐसा लिखा नहीं बट उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन यही है, आपका कितना भी पुराना होगा वहां पे कोई टाइम लिमिट नहीं है. So there were again arguments against this particular provision, and there was a judgment in case of Philco Trade Center by the Honorable Gujarat High Court, which was a wonderful judgment again. और उन्होंने ये read down किया, struck किया था इस particular requirement को कि that the invoices must be taken into consideration which is only relating to the past 12 months. So उन्होंने बोला ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, there cannot be discrimination within a particular section, and therefore अगर जिसके पास इनवॉइस नहीं है उसको अगर 2 साल पुराने स्टॉक की क्रेडिट मिल रही है तो जिसके पास इनवॉइस है उसको तो मिल नहीं चाहिए. So that was Philco Trade Center and the credit was allowed. So again, otherwise all the provisions are same. इसमें कोई बहुत ज्यादा कुछ है नहीं. चूंकि आप पहले रजिस्टर्ड नहीं थे तो आप कोई लास्ट रिटर्न नहीं था, तो अब आपको ट्रान 1 भरना है, उसमें आपको दिखाना है कि आपके पास कितना स्टॉक था, और उसके बाद ट्रान 2 आपको भरना है। उन केसेस में जहां आपके पास स्टॉक था और इनवॉइस थे, वहां पे आप डायरेक्ट क्रेडिट ले लेंगे, आपको ट्रान 2 नहीं भरना है। जहां पे आपके पास इनवॉइस नहीं थे, वहां पे आप स्टॉक दिखाएंगे, बाद में जब वो स्टॉक को आप सेल करेंगे, उसके ऊपर जो आप सीजीएसटी भरेंगे, उसका आप क्रेडिट ले लेंगे, जो 60% और 40% के रेट से रहेगा। दैट इज द प्रोविजन व्हिच इज स्पेसिफाइड इन दिस रूल, दिस सेक्शन, एंड आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू डील विद दिस नाउ। आई एम स्किपिंग रेस्ट ऑफ द सेक्शंस ऑफ 140. You please go through this, and uh, team, Shalin, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No worries. Okay. चलिए एक बार इंटरनली टीम से डिस्कस कर लेना, बिकॉज तो मैं क्या चाहता हूँ कि ये सेक्शन हम टच नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो इसका ये जो पिक्टोरियल वाला पोर्शन है, ये वाला पोर्शन यहाँ तक,
हाँ हाँ हाँ
140 सबसेक्शन 9 तक, नॉट अबाउट दी नोटिफिकेशंस एंड आवर बुक वर्क, उसके पहले का जो पोर्शन है,
ठीक है
इफ यू कैन शेयर दिस विद दी
ठीक है, खाली एक्ट
पार्टिसिपेंट्स,
वाला पोर्शन ना,
केवल एक्ट वाला
एक्ट वाला
पोर्शन, सो विल
पोर्शन।
शेयर विद द पार्टिसिपेंट।
श्योर सर,
यस, बिकॉज वी हैव
एक
बाइफोकेटेड
उसकी
ना, तो
पीडीएफ बना के
द
मैं सर्कुलेट
पार्टिसिपेंट
कर
कैन,
दूंगा।
yes, yes, so the participant can go through this, and if there are any queries, then they can get back to us and we can reply those queries, not this compendium and
श्योर
the
सर।
compilation which we have done after, so जो book का part है, because यहाँ पे जो publisher को रहेगा, publisher को objection रहेगा, so we'll not be able to share all rest of the things, but the act part I agree, and I'll be I have already instructed that he will speak to the rest of the team, and if the team permits, then it will be shared to all the participants। वो group में हम इसके जो हमारा टेलीग्राम का ग्रुप है, विल बी शेयरिंग द पीडीएफ, एंड देन यू कैन refer all those PDFs for these transitional provisions, and that can be used. So I'm
ठीक है
skipping this,
सर।
and these are the judgments. Brand equity I've already shared in detail कि इसमें क्या principle laid down हुआ 2 दिन पहले जो decision आया Honorable Delhi High Court का। Then at FERT also we have touched upon, Honorable Supreme Court they have denied to accept it. The petition was dismissed altogether. Then this is the judgment of Honorable High Court of Punjab and Haryana, जहाँ पे उन्होंने बोला, so I have tried to cover everything and touched upon everything. This is Philco Trade Center wherein 140 subsection 3 clause 4, जहाँ पे 12 महीने के इनवॉइसेस का था, वहाँ पे उनको स्ट्रक डाउन किया। So I'm reading the order of this so that you can understand what I was trying to say. It is observed that the retrospective effect of condition imposed takes away the which is reasonable basis. The reason given for such condition was in order to correlate the goods of
सर आई
unprocessed
थिंक योर
inventory,
वॉइस इज
this
नॉट देयर। लास्ट 1 मिनट
voice
का
is
आपका
not there.
वॉइस नहीं आया। हाँ, 1 मिनट का
अच्छा,
लास्ट वॉइस
ठीक है,
नहीं आया।
ओके, ठीक है, मैं रिपीट करता हूँ, आई विल रिपीट। सो एनीवेज फ्रेंड्स, फिल्को ट्रेड सेंटर आई ऑलरेडी टच्ड अपॉन। फिल्को ट्रेड सेंटर यानी 140 सबसेक्शन 3, जहाँ पे वो 12 महीने का था कि आपके 12 महीने तक के इनवॉइसेस, स्टॉक आपका 2 साल का पड़ा हुआ है, लेकिन आपके 12 महीने के इनवॉइसेस तक का जो स्टॉक रहेगा उसी का क्रेडिट आपको मिलेगा, उसके बाद का नहीं मिलेगा, उसके पहले का नहीं मिलेगा, सॉरी। So that was challenged in this particular matter, and the Honorable High Court has upheld it, has struck down that particular clause कि नहीं ये गलत है, and this matter is again before the Honorable Supreme Court. Let us see what will happen in this case. Next is Krish Automobiles, very famous judgment of Delhi High Court. Again, Tran 1 was allowed. Then Kundan Care Products. So these are those judgments which are not supposed to be discussed, because I have already discussed the 3 major judgments, I would say. When I'm saying मेजर जजमेंट, इसका मतलब है कि पुरानी जजमेंट्स का कॉग्निजेंस ऑलरेडी उसमें ले लिया गया है, एंड इट इज, जैसे पहले 50 सर्कुलर्स इशू के बाद में उन्होंने 125 नंबर का एक सर्कुलर पूरा मास्टर सर्कुलर बना के इशू कर दिया रिफंड्स के लिए। सो जितने भी आपके पहले के प्रेसिडेंट्स या पहले के जजमेंट्स थे, उन सबको सबस्यूम करके एक जजमेंट में सबका रेफरेंस लेके डाल दिया। सो आई हैव टच्ड अपॉन, तो प्लीज रेफर, आपको अगर ट्रांजिशनल प्रोविजंस में देखना है, ये रेफर 4 जजमेंट्स। पहला सिद्धार्था एंटरप्राइज, दूसरा एटफोर्ड टेक्नोलॉजी, तीसरा रिलायंस इलेक्ट्रिक। 140 के लिए ये है, प्लस 143 के लिए अगर आपको देखना है तो फिल्को ट्रेड सेंटर। These are the 4 judgments. If you are referring, then it is more than sufficient, and you will have the entire idea. Then this Willywood Chemicals was taken by the revenue as a reference case, because in this case the pronouncement was on the revenue side. It was not in the favor of the taxpayer. So, but this matter of Willywood is now not that relevant. So I'm skipping now and now moving to सेक्शन 141 इज रिलेटेड टू द जॉब वर्क, जहां पे ऐसा बोला गया था कि अगर आपके जॉब वर्क के लिए माल पहले से आया हुआ है तो आपके इतनी ड्यूरेशन में आपको जॉब वर्क करके भेज देना है, अगर आप नहीं भेजेंगे तो फिर वो सप्लाई कंस्टिट्यूट होगा. सो दैट वाज द प्रोविजन. सो अगेन वो 33 महीने निकल गए. सो नाउ दीज प्रोविजंस आर रिडंडेंट एज पर मी. सो नो पर्पस इन reading all these provisions and in getting your time invested into this. Section 140, again the miscellaneous transitional provisions were there, wherein अगर आपका माल वापस आ रहा है तो कैसे आ सकता है. सो अगेन इसमें सब 6 महीने का टाइम था या वो था, लेकिन यहाँ पे कुछ सेक्शंस ऐसे हैं जहाँ अपील्स की वजह से कोई लायबिलिटी आ जाती है, कोई एडजुडिकेशन पेंडिंग था उसकी लायबिलिटी आ जाती है, तो कैसे कलेक्शन होगा. आपने कोई टैक्स भरा हुआ था जो आपके फेवर में आ जाता है और आपको रिफंड देना है, तो कैसे होगा. तो वो मैं एक ब्रीफ में आपके साथ डिस्कस कर लेता हूँ, देन विल इमीडिएटली मूव टू द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर. तो ये लॉ में इस सेक्शन में 142 में सभी सबसेक्शन जो आप पढ़ेंगे, इन ऑल दो सबसेक्शंस यू विल फाइंड वन थिंग. अगर आपकी कोई लायबिलिटी इस लॉ में आती है, चाहे वो एडजुडिकेशन की वजह से आए, अपील्स की वजह से आए, ऑडिट की वजह से आए, बिकॉज ऑफ एनी रीजन, if your liability is arising in this law, you will have to pay that liability in cash. And अगर आपका कोई रिफंड आता है, then the refund shall be allowed to you in cash. So you are liable to make the payments and you are liable and you are eligible to get the refunds also. So both have been allowed. But जो यहाँ पे restriction हर केस में यही है कि जो आप पुराने जजमेंट्स या पुराने मैटर्स या जो प्री जीएसटी रिजीम में लाइबिलिटीज थी, यानी सर्विस टैक्स, एक्साइज की, वैट की, वो आप यहाँ पे कर रहे हैं इस लॉ में कैश में, यानी जीएसटी के अंदर कैश में, तो उसका आप क्रेडिट नहीं ले सकते. दैट इज द रिस्ट्रिक्शन व्हिच इज देयर इन ऑल दी सेक्शंस. So this chapter, the entire chapter, I'll be giving the act portion to all of you, and you can just refer it, and if any queries are there, you can ask the queries to me. So friends, I'll be moving now to the next chapter, which is chapter 21, which is the miscellaneous chapter and the last chapter of the CGST Act. It's a very big chapter. It starts from section 143 and it ends at section 174. So today we are intending to cover till section 155. So we'll be covering 143 to 155, and tomorrow we'll be covering 155 onwards till 174. And along with that we'll take up the queries, क्योंकि हमारे पास कल टाइम बचेगा, बहुत छोटे छोटे सेक्शंस हैं. विल बी एबल टू कंप्लीट इन 45 मिनट्स और 50 मिनट्स और 1 आवर मैक्सिमम. तो 1 घंटा जो बचेगा विल बी शेयरिंग दी, we'll be dealing with the question and answers or the queries. Friends, section 143 speaks about the job work procedure. See, let me be very honest with all of you. As per my belief, the provision of job work should not be there in this law, because anything and everything under this law which is for consideration is a supply. The only thing that is happening in job work is that at the time when I'm sending the goods for job work, there is no supply, because the consideration is not there. So they are giving that leverage to me, that benefit to me, wherein they are saying that although it is a supply, because they are presuming that even the movement of goods for the purpose of job work is a supply. This is my view. This is purely which is envisaged in this law कि आप जो भेज रहे हैं ना जॉब वर्क में, वो सप्लाई है ऐसा डिपार्टमेंट और गवर्नमेंट मान रही है, लेकिन हम उस पे आपसे टैक्स नहीं लेंगे. You can make that supply without the payment of tax, provided you satisfy the following conditions. So that is the provision of job work. As per me ये होना ही नहीं चाहिए था जीएसटी में. आप भेज रहे हैं किसी को जॉब वर्क पे, तो उस पे भी कुछ नहीं उस पे आप टैक्स ले लीजिए, जब वो जॉब से आएगा तो वो भी टैक्स दे देगा. तो ऑल दिस कंप्लायंस इश्यूज माइट बी गॉन. जो आईटीसी 04 के इश्यूज हैं, पूरे इंडिया प्रॉब्लम में है, परेशान है. ऑल दोज इश्यूज were never there, were never expected. Anyways, now the provision is there. We'll have to deal with this provision, and it is one of the very important provisions. When I am reading this provision, I am requesting one thing. हमने already वीडियोस रिकॉर्ड किए सर्कुलर के, लेकिन एक वीडियो मैंने स्पेसिफिकली छोड़ा था 38 नंबर का और 41 नंबर का. 38 number video I'll be recording for all of you tomorrow, so that you can understand that video and you can correlate that video with job work video. Job work procedure. A registered person hereinafter referred to as principal. So first and foremost, the person who is supplying the goods for the purpose of job work must be a registered person, meaning thereby any unregistered person giving any goods to someone for the purpose of job work will never fall into 143. 143 में आएगा ही नहीं वो. It is a supply. If he is having a turnover less than 20 lakhs, no tax. If he is having a turnover of more than 20 lakhs, then he was supposed to take registration, and this process will be treated as supply. Register हो गया, उसके बाद supply automatically हट जाएगा और he will be covered here. So this section is applicable only in case where he is registered. A registered person hereinafter in this section referred to as the principal may, under intimation and subject to such conditions as may be prescribed, send any inputs or capital goods without payment of tax. He can send any input or capital goods without payment of tax to a job worker for the job work, and from there subsequently send to another job worker, and likewise and shall. So a person who is registered can send under an intimation. So what is that intimation? That intimation is ITC 04. So the condition is what? Condition for availing the benefit and being covered under the provision of section 143 and make this supply without payment of tax is intimation. You will have to submit an intimation, and the conditions which are prescribed, you will have to satisfy those conditions. So he can send the inputs or capital goods without the payment of tax to a job worker for the job work, और from there job worker की place से दूसरे job worker के पास, और उसके पास से तीसरी job worker के पास, और continue. This is allowed. And shall, then what is the condition attached to this? कि अगर आप ये नहीं पूरी करोगे तो आप job work से बाहर आ जाओगे. And shall bring back the inputs after completion of job work or otherwise, or capital goods other than mold and dies, jigs and fixtures or tools within 1 year and 3 years respectively of their being sent out to any of his place of business without payment of tax. So friends, within 1 year or within 3 years. In case of inputs it is 1 year, in case of capital goods it is 3 years. इस ड्यूरेशन में इसके पास ये माल प्रोसेस होके जॉब वर्क होके वापस आ जाना चाहिए. अगर वो नहीं आता, then the condition is violated. Further, clause B, friends, supply such inputs after completion of job work or otherwise, or capital goods other than mold and dies, jigs and fixtures or tools within 1 year and 3 years respectively of their being sent out from the place of business to a job worker on payment of tax within India, or with or without payment of tax for export, as the case may be. So he can supply also. He can supply also जो उसने जॉब वर्क पे भेजा है वो सप्लाई भी कर सकता है प्लेस ऑफ बिजनेस ऑफ जॉब वर्कर से. यानी वहां से डायरेक्ट भी बोल सकता है कि आप इसको सप्लाई कर दीजिए. अगर इंडिया में है तो टैक्स भर के, और अगर इंडिया से बाहर है तो डिपेंडिंग कि ही इज एक्सपोर्टिंग with payment of tax or without payment of tax, but he can do that. Now there is a proviso which says, provided that the principal shall not supply the goods from the place of business of a job worker in accordance with the provisions of this clause, unless the said principal declares the place of business of the job worker as his additional place of business, except in a case. So ये जो हम बोल रहे हैं कि 1 साल 3 साल के अंदर जॉब वर्कर की प्लेस से ही आप रिमूव कर सकते हो, डोमेस्टिक है तो इंडिया में विद पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स, बट this cannot be sent unless you show the place of job worker as your additional place of business. But that is not required in the following cases. One, where the job worker is registered under section 25. अगर वो registered है तो आपको जरूरत नहीं है. Second, where the principal is engaged in the supply of such goods as may be notified by the commissioner. If he is engaged in supply of such goods which is notified by the commissioner, then also it is not to be shown as the additional place of business. Provided further that the period of 1 year and 3 years, this is a recent amendment, 1 year and 3 years may on sufficient cause being shown be further extended by the commissioner for a further period of not exceeding 1 year and 2 years. तो जो इनपुट आपने भेजे हैं वो मैक्सिमम 2 ईयर और जो कैपिटल गुड्स भेजे हैं वो मैक्सिमम 5 साल तक आप जॉब वर्क पे रख सकते हो, उसके बाद नहीं. But if you will have to get, if you want to get the time extended, you will have to make an application to the commissioner, convince him that there are sufficient reasons and causes because of which the process or the job work could not be completed within the duration of 1 year or 3 years, which is stipulated in this particular law. So the further extension must be granted to him, and the commissioner is empowered to grant the extension. Subsection 2, the responsibility for keeping proper accounts for the inputs or capital goods shall lie with the principal. So principal is the person who will have to maintain the records pertaining to the job work, and therefore the principal is the person who is supposed to file ITC 04. Where the inputs sent for the job work are not received back by the principal after completion of the job work or otherwise in accordance with the provisions of clause A, meaning thereby 1 साल या 3 साल, or are not supplied from the place of business of the job work in accordance with the provisions of clause B, और वो वहां से भेजे नहीं गए हैं, within a period of 1 year of their being sent out, it shall be deemed that, this is very important provision, it shall be deemed that such inputs had been supplied by the principal to the job worker on the day when the said inputs were sent out. So it will be presumed कि आपने जिस दिन सॉफ्टवर्क पे भेजा था उसी दिन आपने सप्लाई कर दी थी. It shall be deemed that such input had been supplied that the same date the supply was made. तो 1 साल के बाद, लेट्स से 1 साल खत्म हो गया और तब तक आपका वापस नहीं आया, तो ये प्रिज्यूम कर लिया जाएगा कि 1 तारीख को या 1 साल पहले ही आपने उसको सप्लाई कर दिया था जब आपने उसको भेजा था. So this is a deeming provision, but this is very crucial provision, so you need to keep this in mind. एंड बिलीव मी फ्रेंड्स, जब आप वो 38 नंबर का सर्कुलर देखेंगे, 38 नंबर का सर्कुलर आप पढ़ेंगे, तो सर्कुलर में एक जगह पे ऐसा लिखा हुआ है कि दिस इज एन ऑप्शन, जॉब वर्क इज एन ऑप्शन, यू कैन ऑप्ट फॉर जॉब वर्क, यू कैन ऑप्ट आउट फॉर जॉब वर्क, मीनिंग देयर बाय कि अगर मैं किसी के पास जॉब वर्क के लिए भेज रहा हूँ तो मैं उसको सप्लाई दिखा दूँ और जब जॉब वर्क होके आए तो वो मेरे को सप्लाई दिखा दे. दिस ऑल्सो इज एन ऑप्शन एंड आई वुड से दिस इज अ गुड ऑप्शन. आई वुड से ऑल्दो देयर कैन बी अ ब्लॉकेज ऑफ वर्किंग कैपिटल, बिकॉज जब आप सप्लाई करेंगे उसको जॉब वर्क के लिए, मान लेते हैं 2 साल लगेगा, जॉब वर्क में 1 साल लगेगा, 6 महीना लगेगा, तो उतने टाइम तक आपका जो टैक्स भरा है आपने वो फंस जाएगा, वो जो भी आपने उस पर टैक्स भरा होगा दैट विल बिकम अ ब्लॉकेज. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट these provisions are there, otherwise इसका कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Where the capital goods other than mold and dies, jigs and fixtures or tools sent for the job work are not received back by the principal in accordance with the provisions of clause A of subsection or not supplied within the this we have done. I'm sorry, I've repeated it. Moving to subsection 5. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 and 2, any waste and scrap generated during the process of job work may be supplied by the job worker directly from his place of business on payment of tax if such job worker is registered, or by the principal if the job worker is not registered. So it can be directly supplied by the job worker if the job worker is registered, or by the principal if the principal is registered. Principal anyways is registered. So explanation: for the purpose of job work, input includes intermediate goods arising from any treatment or process carried out on the inputs by principal or the job worker. So this is just an explanation कि इनपुट के अंदर जो इनपुट आप भेज रहे हैं उसके अंदर क्या क्या आएगा. फ्रेंड्स एक इसमें एक चीज मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगा, जो मेरा व्यू है, अगेन आई वुड से दिस इज माय व्यू. जॉब वर्क का डेफिनेशन दिया हुआ है, व्हेन यू रीड दैट डेफिनेशन, आई थिंक क्लॉज 68 ऑफ सेक्शन 2 के अंदर वो डेफिनेशन है CGST एक्ट में. वो डेफिनेशन बोलता है कि जब आप कोई ट्रीटमेंट या प्रोसेस किसी दूसरे के प्रोडक्ट पे करते हो, किसी दूसरे के गुड्स पे करते हो, दैट बिकम्स अ जॉब वर्क. So even I would say that even a repair is a job work under GST. So this needs to be kept in mind. I being the part of IDT committee of ICA at that time, Lot of times it was represented also, but the most important thing is the repair of any goods. अगर मैं अपनी गाड़ी या अपना कंप्यूटर, लेट्स से कंप्यूटर, फॉरगेट अबाउट द व्हीकल, कंप्यूटर रिपेयर पे भेजता हूँ बाहर अपने ऑफिस से बाहर, और वो रिपेयर होके 10 दिन के बाद आता है. So what is the treatment or the process which is being done? It is a treatment or process which is being done by a person to whom the goods is not belonging. That computer is belonging to me, but it is being done by the person who is repairing it. So therefore it will be a job work for that purpose. I need to be covered under section 143, और इसकी जो compliances है, I will have to make sure that I comply with that, that is ITC 04 and all those things. So this is just my belief that job work per se has been defined in such a fashion that even the repair activity will be covered within the four corners of job work, and you need to keep this in mind. You need to be cautious about it, careful about it, कि जो आप repairs पे भी अगर बाहर भेज रहे हो and the compliances are not being done for this job work, that is ITC 04 या इसके अलावा कोई भी compliances, तो that can create a problem in future. JSW एनर्जी लिमिटेड का एक बहुत फेमस जजमेंट है, अपीलेट अथॉरिटी का है. अगेन आई थिंक आई हैव ऑलरेडी टच्ड अपॉन दिस जजमेंट एट द टाइम व्हेन वी वर डिस्कसिंग द एडवांस रूलिंग. इन दिस जजमेंट द कोल वाज सेंट, एंड कोल से वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बनाते थे एंड देन वो वापस करते थे. The question was ki whether it is a job work or not, and the answer was it is not a job work. So that was the crux, that is the crux of this particular judgment. Not to go in much detail because there is nothing to go in detail, and now it has been challenged before the Honorable High Court of Bombay. So let us wait and watch and let us see what the judgment is. But इन्होंने ऐसा बोला कि जो कंपनी कोल दे रही है और कोल से वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बन रहा है, वो जॉब वर्क नहीं, वो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस है. लेकिन ये हमारे को समझना पड़ेगा कि मैन्युफैक्चर क्या है. मैन्युफैक्चर भी डिफाइंड है जीएसटी लॉ में. मैन्युफैक्चर में ऐसा बोला है कि वो डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन, सॉरी डिस्टिंक्ट कैरेक्टर और यूज की प्रोडक्ट को बनाए, कोई ट्रीटमेंट या प्रोसेस, वो मैन्युफैक्चर है सर्टेनली. बट ट्रीटमेंट और प्रोसेस इज सर्टेनली देयर. सो आई वुड से जॉब वर्क इज अ ब्रॉडर टर्म इन कंपैरिजन टू मैन्युफैक्चर, in comparison to manufacture. So if you are leading to a new product or a distinct person by acting on the goods which is not belonging to you, which is belonging to someone else, it is certainly a job work which is leading to manufacture. So let us see what is happening in that case or what will happen in that case. But this is a very important and very famous case, JSW Energy Limited. So advanced ruling में I have already touched upon, so मैं अभी नहीं जा रहा हूँ डिटेल में उसमें. Moving to next section, section 144. Says where any document, presumption as to documents in certain cases, where any document is produced by any person under this act, where any document is produced by any person under this act or any other law for the time being in force, or has been seized from the custody or control of any person under this act or any other law for the time being in force, or has been received from any place outside India in the course of any proceedings under this act or any other law for the time being in force. So these are the documents which is produced, which are seized, or which have been received from some other country. And such document is tendered by the prosecution in evidence against him or any other person who is tried jointly by him, the court shall. So it has been produced by these documents which are either produced by any person or which is seized from the custody of any person or which is received from the foreign country in course of any proceedings against any person. So all those documents, if it is tendered in prosecution or before the authorities, showing that to be an evidence against the person or the other person जो jointly उसके साथ ट्रायल में है, the court shall, unless the contrary is proved by such person, presume the truth of the contents of such document. It will be presumed that the contents, whatever is there, is true. Second, that the signature and every other part of such document which purports to be in handwriting of any particular person or which the court may reasonably assume to have been signed by or to be in the handwriting of any particular person is in that person's handwriting, and in the case of a document executed or attested that it was executed or attested by the person by whom it purports to have been so executed and attested. So unless something is contrary, which is proved by the person, it will be presumed कि जो भी लिखा है वो सही है, और जो भी सिग्नेचर है और जो भी उस डॉक्यूमेंट में लिखी है चीजें वो बिल्कुल reliable है. Clause B, admit the document in evidence notwithstanding that it is not duly stamped. भले वो stamped ना हो, if such document is otherwise admissible as an evidence. So if that document is admissible as an evidence, that the court may admit that as an evidence unless there is something contrary which is being proved by the officer. Moving to section 145, it says admissibility of microfilms, facsimile copies of documents and computer printouts as documents and as evidence. Subsection 1, notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, a microfilm or a document or the reproduction of the image or images embodied in such microfilm, whether enlarged or not, a facsimile copy of a document, or a statement contained in a document and included in a printed material produced by a computer subject to such conditions as may be prescribed, or any information stored electronically in any device or media, including any hard copies made of such information. So it is again overriding notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force. ये जो चार चीजें हैं, it shall be deemed, I am repeating, it shall be deemed to be a document for the purpose of this act. So it will be deemed to be a document. So wherever a document needs to be maintained, उसमें ये document की category में आएगा, and the rules made thereunder and shall be admissible in any proceedings thereunder without further proof or production of the original as evidence of any content of the original or of any fact stated therein of which direct evidence would be admissible. So microfilm of a document or reproduction of the image, facsimile copy of the document यानी faxi copy, कोई भी स्टेटमेंट जो किसी डॉक्यूमेंट पे हो, प्रिंटेड मटेरियल पे हो, जो कंप्यूटर में बनाया हुआ हो, और कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली किसी डिवाइस पे या मीडिया पे स्टोर की गई हो, दैट कैन बी यूज्ड एज एन एविडेंस, दैट कैन बी यूज्ड एज एन एविडेंस फॉर एनी प्रोसीडिंग्स. सो दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट प्रोविजन. जहाँ पे भी हम लिटिगेशंस की बात करते हैं, सर्च की बात करते हैं, डॉक्यूमेंटेशन सीजर्स की बात करते हैं, या ऐसी बात करते हैं कि कोई डॉक्यूमेंट मिल गया, उस पर तो साइन नहीं है मेरे, वो मेरे कंप्यूटर पे तो है लेकिन वो मैंने नहीं बनाया, ऑल दोज एलिगेशंस एंड ऑल दोज एक्सप्लेनेशंस व्हेन वी आर डिफेंडिंग इट, सो यू विल हैव टू कीप दिस provision, this section in mind, and accordingly you will have to act. Anyways, वो अभी this is not the right time to touch upon all those issues कि कैसे बच सकते हैं, क्या हो सकता है, but certainly we'll end up doing something of that also. कुछ ऐसा course will come out with such kind of course wherein we'll be discussing all those issues. Subsection 2, in any proceedings under this act or the rules made thereunder, where it is desired to give a statement in evidence by virtue of this section, a certificate, where it is desired to give a statement in evidence by virtue of this section, then a certificate identifying the document containing the statement and describing the manner in which it was produced, giving such particulars of any device involved in the production of that document as may be appropriate for the purpose of showing that the document was produced by a computer, shall be evidence of any matter stated in this certificate, and for the purpose of this subsection it shall be sufficient for a matter to be stated to the best of the knowledge and belief of the person stating it. So जो भी document आपको मिला, so accordingly that document along with the certificate can be produced and that will suffice and it can be used in the proceedings. So that is what, this is what in short and sweet I can address, but you will have to keep these provisions in mind because हम जनरली क्या करते हैं, हम 143 पे स्टॉप हो जाते हैं. 143 के आगे मैंने बहुत कम लोगों को देखा है कि उन्होंने लॉ पढ़ा है. 171 लोगों ने पढ़ा है, 155 पढ़ा है क्योंकि बहुत रेलेवेंट है वो, 174 पढ़ा है क्योंकि वो रिपील एंड सेविंग है 172 से 74. सो बट ओवरऑल मैंने देखा है कि 148 जिसमें नोटिफिकेशन होते हैं, 168 जिसमें नोटिफिकेशन, 164 जो रूल मेकिंग पावर है, वो लोगों ने नहीं पढ़ी है एंड दे डू नॉट हैव एनी इंटरेस्ट। बट देर आर, मैं या मेरे बॉस हमेशा बोलते थे कि लॉ पढ़ने का एक तरीका है, या रादर केस लॉ पढ़ने का एक तरीका है, जो पहला वर्ड है और जो लास्ट वर्ड है वहां तक आपको पढ़ना है। वो यू कैनॉट लीव एनीथिंग, बिकॉज कब क्या रिलेवेंट निकल जाए, कब क्या इंपॉर्टेंट निकल जाए, जिससे आप अपने केस को निकाल के ले जाओ या डिफेंड कर जाओ। सेक्शन 144 145 जो अभी हमने डिस्कस किया, इसके बेसिस पे आप काफी केसेस निकाल सकते हैं। ऑल्दो दिस प्रोविजंस आर इन द फेवर ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट, बट स्टिल you can defend many cases on the provision, on the basis of these two provisions only. Anyways, common portal 146 जो हमारा GSTN बाबा है, gst.gov.in, the government may, on the recommendations of the council, notify the common goods and services tax portal for facilitating registration, payment of tax, furnishing of return, computation and settlement of integrated tax, e-way bill, and for carrying out such other functions and for such purposes as may be prescribed. So there are n number of notifications for that. 19 जून से ये एप्लीकेबल हो गया था, एंड दिस इज सेक्शन जो आप GSTN जो आया है, that is under the section 146. So it is also having a statutory backup. Section 147 deemed export, जिसमें ऑलरेडी एक नोटिफिकेशन आ चुका है, I think 48/2017, and the notification gives 4 instances, 4 cases हैं जहाँ पे it will be deemed to be an export. The government में जब हमने शायद रिफंड का केस, रिफंड का सेक्शन किया था 54, तो आई एट दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम आई हैव टच्ड अपॉन दैट प्रोविजन आल्सो, थोड़ा सा टच करके फिर देन आई मूव्ड अहेड. The government may, on the recommendations of the council, notified certain supplies of goods as deemed export, where goods supplied do not leave India and payment for such supplies is received either in Indian rupees or in convertible foreign exchange if such goods are manufactured in India. तो इंडिया में जो मैन्युफैक्चर हो रहा है उसमें से कुछ गुड्स को दे कैन लिस्ट डाउन, दे कैन नोटिफाई even if the supply is within India, but subject to certain conditions which are specified in that particular notification. अगर वो condition satisfy करते हैं, it will be deemed to be an export. So that is section 147, yes, 48/2017. So that is deemed to be an export. That is what is provided. Advance authorization, EPCG, all those stuffs are provided there. Section 148. Section 148 says a special procedure for certain processes. Special procedure. It says the government may, on the recommendation of the council and subject to such conditions and safeguards as may be prescribed, notify certain classes of registered persons and the special procedures to be followed by such persons, including those with regard to registration, furnishing of return, payment of tax, and administration of such persons. So there are certain notifications which have been issued, and for them the special procedure for this has been taken into consideration. 148. I'm not reading the cases. 149 friends. Goods and services tax compliance rating. Although ये section अभी तक impose नहीं हुआ, अभी तक effective नहीं है, हालांकि the system and the section is already in place, but this can be a very important factor for the good compliance and for the vendors. Let us see कब तक ये implement होता है, but अभी तो पहले system implement हो जाए ठीक से, वो नए रिटर्न्स के जो सपने दिखाए वो नए रिटर्न्स आ जाए. मुझे तो नहीं लगता 1 साल 2 साल में आएंगे, वो आ जाए, वो सेटल हो जाए, सिस्टम अकॉर्डिंगली काम करने लग जाए, जो उन्होंने मैचिंग कंसेप्ट बोला है वो सब चीज़ें चल जाए, उसके बाद ये कंसंट्रेट करके लाएं तो भी चले. What they are saying is, they are saying every registered person may be assigned a goods and services tax compliance rating score by the government based on his record of compliance with the provisions of this act. So every person who is delaying the filing of return, who is not filing a ITC 04, who is not filing the quarterly return or the monthly return, who is not complying with the rule 36(4), who is not complying with the other provisions of the law, who is taking wrong credit. So every such mistake and every time when that mistake is happening, his credit rating will come down. That is what I believe कि ऐसा होगा, ऐसा परसीव किया गया इस लॉ में कि उसकी कंप्लायंस की बेसिस पे उसकी कंप्लायंस रेटिंग इस पोर्टल पे बताई जाएगी. Subsection 2 says the goods and services tax compliance rating score may be determined on the basis of such parameters as may be prescribed. It is yet to be prescribed what will be the basis of that rating. Subsection 3 says the goods and services tax compliance rating score may be updated at periodical intervals and intimated to the registered person and also placed in the public domain in such manner as may be prescribed. So it will be, पहले तो हम लोग को ऐसा बोलते थे शुरू में जब जीएसटी आया था कि जीएसटी पोर्टल के ऊपर आप जाओगे, यू कैन सर्च द नेम अविनाश पोदार वेदर इज कंप्लायंट, उसने कौन से रिटर्न्स भरे हैं, बराबर भरे हैं कि नहीं भरे हैं. स्टिल आई कैन गो एंड सी दैट GSTR 3 भी भरा है, GSTR 1 भरा है नहीं भरा है, बट वेदर it has been filed correctly or not, there is no question to, answer to it. So what kind of compliance rating score they are going to come out with, nothing is clear and they have not announced anything till now. Moving to next section, sir. Section 150, obligation to furnish the first information return, जिसके बारे में हम लेट फीस और वो सब चीजें पहले देख चुके. Obligation to furnish the information return. Any person being a taxable person, a local authority or other public body or association, any authority of the state government responsible for the collection of value-added tax or sales tax or state excise duty, or an authority of the central government responsible for collection of excise duty or customs duty, or income tax authority, banking company, state electricity board, or the electricity distribution or transmission license under the Electricity Act 2003, registrar or sub-registrar appointed against under Section 6 of the Registration Act, registrar within the meaning of Companies Act, registering authority empowered to register motor vehicles, collector referred to in clause G of section 3 of right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, rehabilitation and resettlement act, the recognized stock exchange referred to in clause F of section 2 of the SEBI, the depository referred to in clause E of subsection 1 of section 2 of the Depositories Act 1996, an officer of the Reserve Bank of India constituted under section 3 of the RBI, the goods and services tax network, a person to whom a unique identification number has been granted, any other person as may be specified on the recommendations of the council. So this is the big list. This is a big list wherein any person who is falling into this, who is responsible for maintaining a record of registration or statement of accounts or any periodical return or document containing details of payment of tax and other details of transactions of goods or services or both, or transactions related to a bank account or consumption of electricity or transaction of purchase, sale or exchange of goods or property or rights or interest in the property under any law for the time being in force, who is responsible for maintaining all these things under any law for the time being in force, shall furnish an information return of the same in respect of such periods within such time in such form and manner and to such authority or agency as may be prescribed. So he will have to furnish the first information return in the prescribed manner. Further, it is said, where the commissioner or an officer authorized by him in this behalf considers that the information return in the information that the information furnished in the information return is defective, he may intimate the defect to the person who has furnished such information return and give him an opportunity of rectifying the defect within a period of 30 days from the date of such intimation or within such further period, which on the application made in this behalf the said authority may allow, and if the defect is not rectified within the said period of 30 days or the further period so allowed, then notwithstanding anything contained in any provisions of this act, such information return shall be treated as not furnished and the provisions of this act shall apply. So what are the provisions? जो भी penalties या जो भी रहेंगी वो लग जाएगी. Subsection 3 says, where a person who is required to furnish the information return has not furnished the same within the time specified under subsection 1 or subsection 2, the said authority may serve upon him a notice requiring furnishing of such information return within a period not exceeding 90 days from the date of service of the notice, and such person shall furnish the information return. So first and foremost, ये categories में अगर आप fall करते हैं और आप किसी ये डॉक्यूमेंट्स मेंटेन कर रहे हैं तो आपको एक इंफॉर्मेशन रिटर्न भरनी है. कमिश्नर है या जो भी ऑफिसर उसने अपॉइंट किया है, उनको अगर ये लगता है कि जो इन्फॉर्मेशन आपने दी है वो डिफेक्टिव है, तो वो आपको डिफेक्ट बता सकते हैं और आपको अपॉर्चुनिटी दे सकते हैं कि आप 30 दिन के अंदर उसको सुधार लें। अगर आपने ये इन्फॉर्मेशन रिटर्न नहीं भरा है विद इन सबसेक्शन 1 और 2 के टाइम लिमिट्स में, तो आपको एक नोटिस भेजा जा सकता है और वो नोटिस को कंप्लाई करके आपको रिटर्न 90 डेज के अंदर भरने के लिए बोला जा सकता है। दैट इज द प्रोविजन अंडर सेक्शन 150। Next is section 151, power to collect statistics. The commissioner may, if he considers that he is necessary so to do, you might recollect the penalty provisions that we were reading. उसमें एक penalty provision में था कि जो statistics पकड़ रहा है या statistics देख रहा है या GSTN को देख रहा है, तो वहाँ पे कोई भी डेटा लीक नहीं कर सकता, लीक करेगा तो उसको भरने को आएगा, उसके ऊपर एक्शन हो सकता है, प्रोसीडिंग्स चल सकती है। तो ये वही स्टैटिस्टिक्स की बात है। that the commissioner may, if he considers that it is necessary to do, by notification direct that statistics may be collected relating to any matter dealt with by or in connection with this act। मे बी कितने लोग टैक्स भर रहे हैं, कितने लोग ऐसे हैं जो इंटरेस्ट नहीं भर रहे हैं, कितने लोग 3B डिले भर रहे हैं, all those statistics can be collected। Subsection 2, upon such notification being issued, the commissioner or any person authorized by him in this behalf may call upon the concerned persons to furnish such information or returns in such manner and in such form and manner as may prescribe, relating to any matter in respect of which statistics is to be collected. So they can ask the person to comply with this requirement. The commissioner can ask that. Bar on disclosure of the information, section 152. It says no information of any individual return or part thereof. No information of any individual return or part thereof with respect to any matter given for the purpose of 150 or 151 without the previous consent in writing of the concerned person or his authorized representative be published in such manner so as to enable such particulars to be identified as referring to a particular person, and no such information shall be used for the purpose of any proceedings under this act. So कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन या इंडिविजुअल रिटर्न या उसका कोई पार्ट 150 151 से रेस्पेक्टेड के रेस्पेक्ट में वो विदाउट प्रीवियस कंसर्न कंसर्न्ड पर्सन के ऑथराइज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव के उसके आप पब्लिश नहीं कर सकते। Subsection 2, except for the purpose of prosecution under this act or any other act for the time being in force, no person who is not engaged in the collection of statistics under this act or compilation or computerization thereof for the purpose of this act shall be permitted to see or have access to any information or any individual return referred to in section 151. No one should be permitted except the person who is collecting the statistics or the person who is involved in the computerization work. Subsection 3, nothing in this section shall apply to the publication of any information relating to class of taxable person or class of transactions। कौन सी ऐसी क्लास है जिसने इस लेवल का टैक्स भरा, so that no restriction in that if in the opinion of the commissioner it is desirable in the public interest to publish such informations। कौन से इतने लोग हैं जिन्होंने फ्रॉड कंडक्ट किया, फेक इनवॉइसेस में है, तो दैट कैन बी पब्लिश सो एज टू बेनिफिट दी टैक्स पेयर्स ऑन अ लार्जर स्केल, कि वो देख के बाकी लोग एटलीस्ट उन लोगों के साथ ट्रांजेक्ट ना करें। Section 153, taking assistance from an expert. If you require an expert for the purpose of taking any decision, then that is allowed. And to an officer, any officer not below the rank of assistant commissioner may, having regard to the nature and complexity of the case and the interest of the revenue, take assistance of any expert at any stage, scrutiny, inquiry, investigation, or any other proceedings before him. So that can be done. He can take assistance of any expert at any stage of any of the proceedings which is undertaken by him. Section 154, power to take samples. The commissioner or an authorized officer by him may take samples of goods from the possession of any taxable person where he considers it necessary and provide a receipt for any samples taken. So जो commissioner है उसको authorize किया है या उसके द्वारा authorized person can take the free sample, he can take a sample from the possession of any person जहाँ पे उसको लगता है कि वो सैंपल लेना जरूरी है और वो सैंपल जिससे ले रहा है उसको एक रिसीट बना के देगा, दैट इज हिज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, ही विल हैव टू क्रिएट अ रिसीट। So friends, I think we'll be stopping it here only today. So we have dealt with till section 154 of the CGST Act. and remaining section, that is section 155 to section 174, we'll be dealing it tomorrow. And along with that, we'll be taking up the queries which we could not take in the query session number 3. We'll be continuing with these queries, and whatever queries you have, please post those queries. And I have already said that I will speak to my team, and if they permit and if they are convinced, then we'll be sharing the chapter of transitional credit, only the act part. We are not going to share the compilation or the notification and the case laws part, that because that is not permitted by the publisher, and it is having a copyright, and it is a published book, so we'll not be able to share that. We'll be sharing the act part. So I think we'll close this session at this point in time, and therefore I would like to thank and express my gratitude to all of you. I'm really grateful for the patience hearing and the opportunity which you have given to me of learning together, sharing my views so far as this law is concerned. And I would say once again, the opportunity to learn or to read the entire GST law with all of you. I'm really thankful to each one of you and much obliged. And tomorrow, let us meet again at 6 p.m. with the balance sections of the CGST Act. Tomorrow we'll complete the CGST Act. It's a good day, and it's a great day for me that we are able to complete 174 sections in 24 days. And then thereafter, we'll take up the queries. So I'm once again, thanks to each one of you. Thank you very much.